When Shedeur Sanders entered the NFL conversation, he didn't just walk into the room. He walked in like he owned the room, with the swagger of someone who'd already been battle-tested, the confidence of a media-trained pro, and yes, the weight of a last name that demands attention. But instead of applause, he got side eyes. Instead of mentorship, he got whispers. And now, thanks to Cam Ward, we finally have someone willing to say the quiet part out loud. The hate Shedeur is getting from other NFL players? If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. It's not about football. It's about fear, ego, insecurity. In a world where silence is often disguised as professionalism, Cam Ward didn't tiptoe. He came straight out and called it what it is: jealousy masked as tradition. Let's unpack that, because it's not just about Shedeur anymore. This is about a shift, a generational culture clash playing out in real time, and the league isn't ready. Shedeur Sanders is not the shut-up-and-throw kind of quarterback. He's not going to fade into the background and quietly hope someone gives him a chance. That's not how he was raised. That's not what his name stands for. And frankly, that's not what this era of football is about anymore. And Cam Ward, he sees it. He sees the subtle digs, the passive-aggressive comments from veterans, the media critiques that are less about tape and more about tone, the vague leadership questions, the "he needs to learn humility" sound bites that never seem to surface when it's anyone else. And he's had enough. According to Ward, the problem isn't Shedeur. It's the NFL mindset, one that still demands that rookies earn respect by staying small, staying silent, and kissing the ring. But Shedeur, he doesn't shrink. He knows his worth. He knows the cameras are already watching. He knows the rules of the game, both the one on the field and the one being played off of it. And that's what terrifies the old guard. Because Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand. He's posting pre-game fits that get more engagement than some teams' final scores. He's walking into the locker room with custom chains and nil deals still glowing in the background. He's got fans who know him from YouTube before they ever watched him throw a touchdown pass. That's not just new. That's disruptive. And the NFL? It's allergic to disruption. See, the league has always sold this idea that the path to greatness starts with humility, not confidence, not charisma. Humility. Rookies are supposed to come in, shake hands, shut up, and climb the mountain one quiet snap at a time. But Shedeur climbed a different mountain, one built on legacy, one built in the spotlight, one that required him to be louder, sharper, faster, just to get the same respect other guys were handed by default. And now that he's here, he's being punished for not playing by the old rules. Let's talk about the looks he gets in practice. The smirks when he steps up in a team meeting. The eye rolls when he posts a highlight on social. That's not discipline. That's ego. And Cam Ward called it. In a league full of veterans still clinging to an outdated idea of what leadership looks like, Shedeur's very existence feels threatening. His confidence, misread as cockiness. His brand building, labeled as distraction. His quiet defiance of status quo, seen as disrespect. But let's be honest, it's not Shedeur's job to make veterans feel comfortable. It's not his responsibility to shrink just to protect someone else's fragile sense of legacy. Because what Shedeur represents isn't just confidence, it's evolution. He's part of a generation of athletes who don't just play the game, they market it. They monetize it. They understand that the NFL is more than touchdowns and playbooks. It's content. It's narrative. It's reach. And the league? It's still pretending it doesn't see the shift. Cam Ward, though, he's watching. And he's fed up. He's fed up with watching young stars get dimmed by systems that haven't evolved since the Clinton administration. He's fed up with gatekeeping disguised as tradition. He's fed up with seeing players like Shedeur earn their place, only be told they need to wait their turn, while lesser talents are protected by outdated hierarchies. And most of all, he's fed up with the hypocrisy. Because let's not pretend this league doesn't celebrate confidence. It does, but only from certain players. Only when it looks a certain way. Only when it fits the mold of what the league thinks is marketable. Shedeur doesn't fit that mold. He redefined it, and now the league has a choice to make: adapt or fall behind. Because this generation of athletes, they're not here to wait around. They're not here to ask permission. They've got highlight reels, marketing strategies, production companies, fan bases, merch lines, and oh yeah, they can actually play. You either give them space to lead, or they'll build their own platforms and lead anyway. And that's what's so powerful about Cam Ward's message. It's not just support for Shedeur. It's a wake-up call to every coach, vet, GM, and executive still pretending like swagger equals selfishness. It doesn't. In fact, in this era, swagger is survival. Because the league has become a spotlight machine. Every snap is recorded. Every locker room moment becomes a meme. Every mic'd up comment goes viral. So you think Shedeur is the problem? No. Shedeur is the blueprint. And the league better figure that out fast, or else he's just the first of many they'll push away. Players who are too bold, too branded, too ready to lead. You want to talk about what's bad for the locker room? You know what's really bad? Trying to silence the most promising young voices in the name of comfort. Try to make leaders play small because your own legacy feels threatened. Try to ignore that the game, like every industry, is changing whether you like it or not. Shedeur is not going to sit quietly while you figure out. He's going to lead. He's going to speak. He's going to build a brand, a fan base, a career. And if the league doesn't make room for that, that's not on him. That's on them. So what do we do with all this? We listen. We listen to Cam Ward and recognize that the disrespect Shedeur faces isn't about stats or tape. It's about culture. It's about ego. It's about a league that still hasn't figured out how to value confidence without demanding apology. We start having real conversations about what leadership looks like in this era. We start asking why a player has to choose between authenticity and acceptance. We stop punishing swagger. We stop equating silence with strength. We stop pretending that tradition is the same thing as truth. And maybe, just maybe, we stop trying to tear down young stars for daring to shine too soon. Because Shedeur Sanders, he's not just the future of football. He's the present. And you can either stand in his way or stand beside him. Your choice. But either way, he's moving forward. So what do you think? Is the NFL ready for players like Shedeur? Is Cam Ward right about the real reason veterans are uncomfortable? And how can the league evolve before it gets left behind? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that subscribe button for more raw, real, unfiltered takes. And stay tuned. Because in this era, swagger isn't just welcome. It's required. And Shedeur Sanders? He's got an abundance. This is a cultural fault line. A power shift. A generational collision happening in the middle of NFL locker rooms across the country. And right at the epicenter, Shedeur Sanders. And thank God Cam Ward finally said what everyone else has been too scared or too comfortable to admit. Because let's face it, the disrespect being thrown at Shedeur isn't subtle anymore. It's not hidden in coach speak or carefully worded developmental plans. It's direct, it's personal, and it's ugly. And no, it's not about arm strength, or readiness, or reading defenses. It's about the fact that Shedeur refuses to shrink. And that makes a whole lot of people deeply uncomfortable. Because for decades, the NFL has trained its rookies the same way the military trained cadets. Strip away the individuality, condition humility, and drill them into believing that the system matters more than the self. But now, enter Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, entrepreneur, media figure, legacy name, cultural symbol. And what does he do? He walks in like he belongs. No apology, no awkward deference, just confidence, presence, power. And you'd think that would be celebrated, right? You'd think the league would want a guy who brings built-in fans, energy, cultural relevance, and the actual skill set to back it up. But instead, side eyes, cold shoulders, petty locker room politics. And Cam Ward nailed it. This isn't about respecting the game. It's about veterans who are watching a younger generation come in, not just to play, but to build empires. And they're scared. Scared that the rules have changed. Scared that being good on the field isn't the only currency anymore. Scared that someone like Shedeur, who hasn't paid his dues the way they did, is already a bigger presence, a louder voice, a larger figure in the sport than they ever were. Let's call it what it is: insecurity masquerading as tradition. These aren't critiques based on tape. They're shots fired at confidence, at personality, at power that wasn't earned the old-fashioned way. And Shedeur? He's catching every stray, every double standard, every unspoken rule, designed to keep him in line, to make him wait his turn, to dull his shine until it's palatable for the veterans and the coaching staff and the execs who still think brand building is a distraction. You want to know what's really threatening about Shedeur Sanders? He doesn't need the NFL to be a star. Let that sink in for a second. Most rookies walk into the league hoping to become something. Shedeur walked in already being something, already with cameras, already with a fan base, already with the social numbers, the cultural influence, the credibility. And that flips the whole NFL hierarchy on its head. Because suddenly it's not just about performance. It's about platform. It's not just who plays the best. It's who moves culture, who leads on the field and online, who understands the business, not just the game. Shedeur does. And that's terrifying to an old guard that's used to controlling everything from the narrative to the locker room volume levels. Cam Ward's honesty is the kind of thing that's going to get whispered about in facilities. Did you hear what he said? You think he's talking about our QB room? He's not wrong, though, because deep down, every team has that divide now. The traditionalists, the fall-in-line crew, and the new wave, the ones who know how to turn 30 seconds of mic'd-up footage into an entire brand identity. And the veterans? They're watching their influence shrink with every viral clip, every off-field sponsorship, every rookie who walks in with more leverage than they ever dreamed of. Let's be clear, this isn't Shedeur's fault. He's just the most visible example. The lightning rod, the guy who dared to show up without asking permission to take up space. And in doing so, he's exposing the cracks. Because the NFL keeps claiming it wants to be player first, that it embraces individuality, that it's evolving with the times. But when a player actually lives that truth, when he walks like Shedeur, confident, branded, unapologetic, the system panics. Coaches mumble about humility. Analysts clutch their pearls over distractions. Teammates roll their eyes because they had to grind harder to get half the shine. But here's what they don't realize. This is where the sport is going. This is the direction all professional athletics is heading. And if the NFL doesn't catch up, it's going to get left behind by its own audience. The future of sports isn't just about who can run the fastest 40-yard dash. It's about influence, voice, cultural footprint. Shedeur Sanders checks every box. And if the NFL can't handle that, that says more about them than it does about him. You can already feel the shift happening. Younger fans love him, not just because he's good, but because he's himself, because he shows up with energy, confidence, a chain around his neck, and a message that says, I'm not going to be less just because you're uncomfortable with more. That's power. And Cam Ward? He's not just defending Shedeur. He's defending a new generation of athletes who are tired of being told they have to dim their light to be taken seriously. So now the NFL has a choice. It can try to force these young stars into the same old box, where charisma gets painted as ego and branding gets called selfish. Or it can evolve. It can start treating individuality as a strength instead of a threat. It can stop confusing silence for leadership. It can embrace the fact that the next era of NFL icons will look nothing like the last. And if it doesn't, guys like Shedeur will still thrive, just not with you. They'll go where they're appreciated. They'll build their own empires. They'll write their own scripts. They'll become stars with or without a starting job, and they'll have the receipts to back it up. That's the real revolution, and it's already happening. So what now? Maybe more players start speaking up like Cam Ward. Maybe the quiet majority in these locker rooms stops tolerating the passive-aggressive leadership tests. Maybe the fans start demanding more transparency. Maybe teams start hiring staff that actually understand modern athlete culture. Because one thing's clear, Shedeur Sanders isn't backing down. He's not here to beg for approval. He's not going to pretend to be smaller than he is just to make the vets feel safer. He's going to lead. He's going to win. And he's going to change the league, whether the league is ready or not. Oh no, that was just the matchstick. The firestorm? That's still spreading across the NFL, one insecure locker room at a time. Let's not sugarcoat it. Shedeur Sanders has become the symbol of a cultural reckoning in pro football. This isn't just about one player getting side-eyed by a few salty veterans. This is a full-blown identity crisis for a league that's been running on the same outdated ideas of respect, humility, and paying dues since shoulder pads were made out of concrete. And now that someone like Shedeur is actively challenging all of that just by existing as himself, the league is shaking. You can feel it. The fake smiles from coaches during pressers. The backhanded compliments from analysts. He's got talent, but he needs to grow up. The way some teammates avoid saying his name directly when asked about the quarterback room. Like saying Shedeur out loud is going to summon the ghost of prime time and shake the locker room walls. But the truth is, he doesn't have to prove anything to them. They're the ones scrambling to justify why they're uncomfortable. They're the ones redefining leadership every 5 minutes to exclude anything that doesn't look like quiet compliance. Let's talk about that leadership narrative for a second, shall we? Because for years, we've been sold this image of the ideal NFL quarterback. Stoic, humble, media-trained within an inch of his life. Speaks in cliches, nods a lot, plays a game, both figuratively and literally. You know who fit that mold? Guys like Eli Manning, Joe Flacco, even Brady, for the most part, before he unlocked his post-Patriots personality. And the league loved them for it, because they were controllable, predictable, safe. But now, you got Shedeur Sanders walking into the league with the confidence of a startup founder who already knows his IPO is going to triple on day one. And guess what? That makes him a problem. Not because he's wrong for it, but because he's unapologetic. And here's the wild part. The louder the disrespect gets, the quieter Shedeur becomes. He's not clapping back. He's not going on podcasts airing grievances. He's not subtweeting or leaking anonymous shade to media. He's just watching. And that's the part that's scaring the league even more. Because silence from a guy like Shedeur doesn't mean submission. It means calculation. It means the gears are turning. It means when he finally gets a chance to speak through his play, there will be no misunderstanding. It's going to be devastating. Let's be honest. This isn't just about Cam Ward defending a friend. It's a warning to the league. A polite but direct way of saying, if y'all don't evolve, you're going to lose the very players that are built to carry the sport into the future. And he's right, because this isn't the 90s anymore. This is a league that can thrive purely on wins and losses. The NFL today is entertainment. It's branding. It's digital clout. It's week-to-week narrative warfare. Shedeur gets that. He's been raised in that, trained in that, born into that. And his critics? They're still acting like locker rooms exist in a vacuum. Spoiler alert, they don't. Everything is content now. Everything is visibility. Everything is opportunity. So when the NFL looks at someone like Shedeur and says, tone it down, what they're really saying is, make yourself smaller so we can feel bigger. And let me just say this, he won't, nor should he, because this is a guy who isn't just playing for a team. He's playing for a generation that's tired of being told their confidence is a liability, that their ambition makes them uncoachable, that their personality has to be surgically removed to fit into someone else's blueprint of success. Cam Ward saw all of this, and instead of going along with the fake professionalism, he ripped the curtain down and said what everyone else has been too scared to. This isn't about football. It's about ego, and y'all need to check yours. Now here's the twist. The very same players throwing shade at Shedeur today, they'll be wearing his jersey in 5 years. Literally. Retired. Doing analysis on ESPN, pretending like they always saw the vision. Because once he proves on the field, and let's be clear, the narrative will flip so hard it'll give the media whiplash. He matured. He focused. He became a true leader. Nah, he was always that guy. Y'all just couldn't handle it when he didn't beg for permission first. But you know who does see it? The fans. The younger generation. The TikTok crowd. The NIL-era college athletes. The kid's growing up knowing that being an athlete isn't just about performance. It's about platform. They look at Shedeur and they see a roadmap, a guidebook to doing it their way. Not waiting, not asking, not dialing it down to appease a gatekeeper who peaked during the BlackBerry era. So what does the NFL do now? It adapts or becomes obsolete. The old guard can only hold the door shut for so long before the next wave kicks it down and builds a better stadium anyway. This is bigger than Shedeur. It's about changing the rules entirely. It's about an NFL that doesn't just tolerate player expression, it celebrates it. That doesn't demand humility as a prerequisite for opportunity. That doesn't see confidence as a red flag, but as a requirement. Because if Shedeur's taught us anything so far, it's this. You don't need to dim your light to fit into someone else's playbook. You just need to find the right system, one that's built to let you shine. And if that system doesn't exist yet, you build it yourself, which is exactly what Shedeur is doing, brick by brick, throw by throw, brand deal by brand deal. So let's stop pretending he's the problem. He's the blueprint. And sooner or later, the league will catch on or get left behind. Now tell me this. Where do you stand? Are you ready to see a league where swagger and strategy coexist? Where leadership doesn't mean playing small? Where quarterbacks can build brands and win games? Or are you still stuck in the old playbook, afraid of what happens when the new era calls the audible? Drop your take in the comments. Hit that subscribe if you're riding with the wave, not against it. Because whether you're ready or not, the future's already on the field. And his name is Shedeur Sanders.